Hi everyone, it's Amy Kennedy here, and this is my latest long form conversation. It is with Emma Jimson and Kylie Gusset, two visual artists who are based in Australia. I got to know Emma and Kylie a lot more when they were in my Fresh Eyes writing program for artists and craftspeople last year in 2021. This conversation is about what drew them to the program, what role did writing have in their practice before the program, their experience of it, but really essentially, well not essentially, but this is a huge part of it, spoiler alert, is what happened after the program. What happened after the program is that they have become writing buddies and been writing for over a year. So if you want to find out about more of the impact of this, how it works for them, why it happened, what it means, and a little bit more about the program itself, please listen on and let me know what you think. A huge thank you to Emma Jimson and Kylie Gusset. If you want to find out more about them, and you should, go to the links below. And if you want to find out more about the Fresh Eyes writing program, which starts on the 5th of September, not too long to go now, you can check out that below too. Without further ado, let's go to the conversation. Let's start. I would love to have each of you just introduce yourself and tell me, where you make from and a little bit about what you make. That would be wonderful. Kylie, would you like to start?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kylie Gusset, and for the last 2 years, I have been making in Walker, which is a rural area of New South Wales. And in terms of making, in all honesty, I haven't actually been making that much, thanks to the pandemic, but it's been mainly sort of small things, and the aim for me has been to concentrate on colour.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, thanks, Kylie. Yeah, how about you, Emma?
Hi, I'm Emma Jimson. I run Pomegranate Studios in the Macedon Ranges. What do I do? I create, I design, I learn, I teach, I grow. Yeah, I'm liking to think of myself as a verb at the moment rather than a noun. These are the things I do, and that sort of broadens and opens up things. And clay is my main medium.
Yeah, awesome. And I'm going to pop in the show notes links to where people can find your work online, because I realize, talking about, three-dimensional work and art is tricky. So all those links will be in the show notes. So please check out Emma and Kylie. I would like to know, well, you guys were in my Fresh Eyes writing program last year, 2021. And I'd really like to know how you found out about the program and what made you sign up for it. Would you like to go first, Kylie?
Sure. So in terms of the writing program, I was signed up to a mailing list, I'm pretty sure. And I also knew other people who were keen on getting involved. So Claire Ellis is a good example. I think we spoke about it beforehand, and we were like, I'll do it if you do it type thing. So yeah, that's how I found out.
Yeah, awesome. And how about you, Emma?
Amy, I saw your Insta post that was the 8-day free online writing challenge. And you were on my radar, having heard of Claire Ellis speaking about being part of the program the year before in 2020 and how it was really valuable. And so it hadn't, that's how I was aware of it. So I jumped on that, and you can't not do that and then do Fresh Eyes. You just wouldn't. You have to do. You just have to go in to do the 1 month. So
yeah. Oh, I got to send a thank you email to Claire Alice. Shout out to you, Claire Alice.
Hi, Claire.
You're my marketing team. And and what made you realize or think that you want to have quite an investment in your writing? Because we're visual artists. What made you sort of think, I'd like to, daily practice my writing? What made you do that? Because it is an investment of time. What do you think, Emma? I'll go to you first.
I think for me, it was just another avenue, one that I didn't know of before. and one that I thought would be interesting because it's to do with the thought, which we do all the time in the making, but do we actually spend time in that thought rather than just the running and the process and getting through it? So for me, it was a bit more of a meditation, a slow down, and why not?
Yeah, yeah. Mm, mm, mm. And you, Kylie?
For me, it was a case of at the time, I certainly could use all the discipline and connection that I could get from anywhere and anyhow. So the concept that I would pay money in order to ensure that I was actually in front of a screen at a certain time doing something, I was just like, oh, where do I sign? And also being around creative people, when you're in the middle of nowhere, that's actually quite difficult. And given that I was in possibly one of the most uncreative electorates in Australia, being Barnaby Joyce's, I was really happy to sort of connect with other people who were on a similar wavelength to me. And that was something that I really value about the communities that you create, in that they are really sort of creative and open thinking, and it's a really great bunch of people that you bring together. So I was just like, yeah, I'm all in on that.
Yeah, yeah. And I totally relate to one of the things you just said there when, yeah, I'll pay money to sign up so that at least to this accountability thing as well.
Yes.
Definitely, definitely. And so
It's huge.
yeah, it is huge. And so before you did that writing program, was writing like a regular part of your practice, or what part did writing play in your practice, before you did the program?
I think that's a really interesting question for me, because writing I don't really see as being part of a creative practice. It's a separate beast altogether, in that often if you, for example, go and see a mental health professional or something, they'll be like, so have you written a journal or something like that? And I've certainly been in situations where they're like, okay, you're going to sit down and write for 15 minutes about X or whatever it might be. And I've also written professionally for magazines. So for me, it's not so much part of a creative practice, but it's more part of your sort of everyday life that you make part of for various things. I see it as being sort of like a tool that I use for various ends to a sort of means to an end. But as part of my creative practice, since I've done the course, I've certainly used writing in very different ways to what I did before I started the course. So there's a variety of things that you can do with it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we sort of in the program talk about it related to our arts practice and what we're making, but a whole spectrum of our life. It's such a valuable tool. Totally. Yeah. And Emma, before the Fresh Eyes writing program, were you writing regularly in your practice? What was your sort of thoughts around writing?
I did not write regularly at all. I have done the daily pages years ago when I was reading The Artist's Way. And that would be the only writing in relation to making that I've ever done. And even studio journals, I have not been consistent in doing that. So much of what I do it's up here and then it's out there. So this completely opened up my eyes to the power of putting words on a page, and the consistency of doing that, then the ability to be able to see patterns that come through that I wasn't aware of before. And it's that consistency and the way that you posed the prompts that towards the end of it, it's like, oh, that is obviously important to me because it's coming up in all of these different cycles of questions. Let's delve into that. So that's definitely been
yeah, thank you. And what were your main takeaways from the program, do you think?
For me, there were three things that I needed to focus on. But I guess the main takeaway was the power of doing this every day and the accountability of doing it with a group, which has then set me and Kylie up for the next year.
Yeah.
So definitely the accountability, the value of writing. And for me, it was focusing in, personal for what I needed to do within my business. But it was also just seeing what I do as a practice and the reframing of that, which I think I always knew it and did it and lived it, having worked for myself for many, many years. But having a label to it and everybody talking about their practice somehow gave it form, and then you can start to structure. So I'm not articulating it very well, but
No, it's great. It's great because it's sort of a bit of an unknown thing, like for those of people listening and don't know about the program, I set prompts every weekday morning, and it's very open, and each artist is writing in their place. We're all on Zoom, but they're writing in their place, and whatever's at the front of their mind can come through, at the front of their art practice can come through. So it is a hard thing to describe, but I'm getting what you're saying. I'm getting what you're laying down. Kylie, what about you? What were your main takeaways from the program?
The thing that I didn't really sort of cotton onto until I started doing it was this concept that the forms that we write with, we think of them as like letters and numbers, but what they also are sort of patterns, or we can create patterns with them that are just intrinsic. So if you want to do something really quickly, a really fast way of doing it is, say, just putting down 100 T's. You can do it really quickly and flexibly and without thinking about it. So when you've got this big pot and you're thinking, how the heck am I going to apply something really freely on this? You can just go, okay, I'm just going to scroll my name or something on it really fast, so then nobody will be able to read it, but they'll get that sort of creativity and pattern on it. That was the thing that I hadn't even thought about that before, and I was just like, whoa, this is a whole new world that I hadn't even thought about. So that was really cool for me.
Totally, yeah, because as you know, I ask you to write super fast, but yeah, to see that other applications that can have, yeah, that's amazing. So I want to get down to the most important thing here, is your guys' writing partnership, because I'll just set the scene. Is towards the end of the writing program, I asked people if they wanted to be buddied up with each other to continue the habit. And I'll pair people up. But you two got in touch with me and you said, oh, we're already paired up, Amy. You don't have to worry about us. And so just lead me through the story of, like, how did you pair up, and how is your writing partnership been structured, and how's it going? Yeah, so what made you pair with each other?
Emma, do you want to tell us?
Sure. Kylie and I were put into a breakout room in one of the sessions, in one of the extended deep delve sessions that is throughout the 1 month program. And so it's just two people having a conversation rather than 60 people on a screen. And it's about 10 minutes worth. And after that session, Kylie sent me a message and just said, great to chat with you today. We didn't quite get all that we were saying sort of covered. If ever you want to continue on that conversation, get in touch. And I thought, well, that's cool. That's, I like that. And it was soon after that you put forth about the buddy program. And I thought, I'm just going to send a message. And I said to Kylie, do you want to be my buddy? She said, yes. And the rest is history.
Yeah. So tell us, so after the program finished, how often have you been meeting? Kylie, do you want to talk about that?
So we've been meeting every weekday at 8 o'clock in the morning. If you had have told me before we started that we'd be doing this, I'd be like, no way in hell. And even to me, it seems kind of inconceivable. If you do that every weekday morning, how you just do it?
Yeah.
I guess the really great thing for me is that Emma is basically my anchor. She is the one who is very organized about this. She has the Zoom call organized. She's the one that I connect to every morning. She has the little sort of note-taking thing where each day she writes down what we've written and all that kind of stuff, whereas I'm the sort of, okay, I've got to turn up, got to just be there and do this thing and I'll be okay sort of thing. So I think having that sort of yin and yang might help slightly. But yeah, that's basically it in a crux. So yeah.
Yeah. So for people listening and watching, so every weekday morning for a year. Emma, before you were saying how many writing hours?
So we've done it since the 31st of August 2021, which was the Monday after Fresh Eyes finished on the Friday. So we gave ourselves no break and jumped straight in. So for half an hour, we've probably missed about 10 days out of that year, but it is 240 days worth. And with half an hour every day, that is 7,200 minutes that we have shared with each other, it is such a privilege to be in somebody else's space, to be invited in to their practice, to their life, to their thoughts, to their emotions. It's a very special thing, and I do think it was a little bit like the stars had to be aligned for this. You know, how do you orchestrate such a perfect match? Because you know, we're completely different people and we have very different practices, but in this format and framework, it just works really well. So I feel very lucky, very lucky.
Oh yeah. I'm blown away because I remember you told me, yeah, you're going to be buddies, and I think you were sort of saying, yeah, we're meeting every weekday, and then maybe months and months down the track, well, maybe I was talking to one of you, oh, we're still meeting. I'm like, wow. And so and I know there are others in the program and in the years before that have kept that connection. You know, sometimes it is like, yeah, written in the stars and it really connects for a long period of time. But could you tell me, like, how do you actually structure that morning? So, you know, Kylie, you were saying that Emma sets up the Zoom meeting. You get on the Zoom meeting, and do you take it in turns to set a question or a prompt? So how do you do that? And do you do a bit of discussion after the writing? Yeah, Kylie, would you want to talk about that?
Sure. So yeah, we do take it in turns. Sometimes I'll like sit down on a Sunday and go, okay, I've got Monday, Wednesday, Friday, what am I going to do? And I might actually do a triple, because I've been known to do that with certain things, of, okay, so this week we're going to focus on whatever it might be, and we'll do 3 things. Or you can actually structure it so you can go, okay, Friday we're going to do X, so we need to work up to that by doing whatever it might be before that. The other way that we've also structured it is that we might go, okay, we're going to do a month of something. So we chose our topic that we were going to do a month on, and then we sort of just, yeah, sat down and worked on that for a month of, I'm going to do color, for example. And okay, so what am I going to do every day when it comes to color? How am I going to work on that? Where do I want to get to in over a month, sort of thing. So they're the different ways that we've structured things. However, there have been days where I've just gone, I've got no idea what I'm going to do this morning. And I might just flick through a book, and I think we've both got Seth Godin's latest book. So I might just open that in a page and just go, yep, I'm going to do that. It just, Yeah.
Wow.
One thing is, I don't think we've ever run out of ideas of what can we write about. There's always something. Always.
Yeah, it seems like you mix it up too. Like one week might have a theme, and then the bigger months that you did. Actually, could you talk about that? Because I know you did color, Kylie, is this right? And you did fold, Emma. Yeah, talk about how that worked. Yeah, if you want to talk about that, Emma.
That was inspired by you, Amy, who inspired by one of your, I think might have been one of your Evolve.
Yeah, Kate Belvedere inspired me. Yes.
Who did 100 days of dark, and you thought I'm going to do light, but you thought maybe 100. I'm going to do 30, and so I proposed it to Kylie that let's choose a word, and it was an incredible narrowing in for me. It has brought forth a new body of work for me. And the consistency, it's the same as the program throughout. It's that consistent, number one. It's the accountability. It's because I knew that I was seeing Kylie the next day and I needed to have an image, or I needed to have thought about it. So that helped spur it on. But there's such freedom because it's just a word that you've chosen that you're interested in. And I think we did this in the writing program as well. We did verbs and all sorts where it was just because it's not outcome based. The freedom in that is lovely. And it was very different for me because a lot of the others have been a writing challenge, or we've been drawing, whereas this was 3D for me. A lot of it was three-dimensional. So that's been really wonderful. We've done 2 lots of those, and I have no doubt we'll do more in the future.
Yeah. So it's not just the writing, but it moves into drawing. It moves into the actual making. And after each weekday session that you have, do you do the process, and then do you do a little debrief? Do you have a little discussion?
Yep. Yeah, we do. We generally will start the sessions with, how are you? What's going on? Sometimes there's a lot to say, sometimes there's not, and we jump straight in. But it's whoever's turn it is, we'll give the info, we'll write or draw, and we'll come back at the end and we'll have a debrief. Sometimes it's that's great, how was that for you? Yeah, that was really good. I'll see you tomorrow. And other times it does extend past our half-hour mark and more talking.
Yeah. And what surprised you, like over this year, what surprised you about your writing making relationship together, like something that you couldn't have foreseen? Are there surprises that have come along the way?
The fact that we're still here.
Yeah.
That the consistency, the fact that we are still doing this, we're nearly a year. I didn't sign up thinking that it would be a year's worth. Had I have known, would it have changed my input? I don't know. Hindsight's a funny thing, but the fact that we are just still here is surprising me, but I honestly can't imagine my days without it.
Yeah.
It is that much of a habit for me now. It is something I look forward to. It's something I value. I would fumble for a while if this wasn't happening.
Wow.
I would need to fill it with something spectacular.
I certainly feel the same way. And when we were in Alice Springs, we didn't do it, and I was just like, what am I going to do at 8 o'clock in the morning? I need to sort of sort this out, sort of thing. Yeah, it was very strange, and it was just really grounding when I finally got to Melbourne and got a decent internet connection, and I'd be like, okay, let's do this thing. It was great to have that, and also to have someone who that was super valuable. Someone who went to the same conference that we could debrief on. That was pretty golden to have that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I mean, so much stimulation from the conference. And we're talking about the Australian Ceramics Triennale that was in Alice Springs recently, is so much, as we were talking before we hit recording, so much stimulation there on so many levels for you to weave that back into some of your writing and your discussions. To have that touch point again, so the conversation is continued, is so important. And it's interesting what you were saying before, Emma, how you didn't know you'd be together for like a year, and it's this thing about not knowing the outcome, isn't it? And it's like the writing too, the prompt is just a starting point and people can take it where they want, and that the benefit of not having to deliver an outcome or have something specific is so valuable. I'll want to have one last question perhaps, and the question is, putting your writing partnership to the side, how do you see the writing practice, influencing your arts practice, even in ways where you want to, get your work out in the world in different ways? Do you find that it has sort of this consistency of writing shows itself in other areas of your practice? Emma, would you like to start with that?
You suggested to me at one stage, Amy, and it was, I forget what I was needing to write for. And you said free write it. As in, as quick as you can, keep the pencil on the page, just keep writing, do it for 10 minutes and then take a pause and maybe come back to it the next day and reread it and then write again. And that I use now if I have to write a letter to a supplier or a customer, or artist statement or anything for the website. So I definitely use the writing. I approach my writing in a different way now with the free writing. I think it's a really, really clever and easy way to get what's happening up here out and then edit and polish. So that's definitely how I use it. I think it has absolutely fundamentally changed the way that I am up in the studio and the way that I am in my office.
Wow. Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you, Emma.
That's what I say. Wow.
Wow, all right. Wow. I'm blown away by both of you on many levels, but and Kylie, for you, outside of your partnership, how do you see it impacting, you were talking before about, how the way you can interact with your actual work, but what ways do you see the writing permeating out into different areas of your arts practice?
Look, I've always used writing as a sort of problem-solving exercise. Basically anything. It's like whatever conundrum you have, one way out of it is write down 100 ways that you can deal with whatever it is. If my place is always messy, or I'm always in a financial bind, or I hate my husband and I don't know what to do, well, write down 100 things of what are your options. And they don't have to make sense. You can break whatever rules you want, just write down 100 things. And then you can go through those 100 and go, well, which of those actually makes sense and doesn't involve a funeral, sort of thing.
Yes, is legal.
So that kind of writing I've found incredibly helpful for all sorts of things. There is also the sort of writing that you need to do of, say I might have an assignment that I've pitched to the Australian Ceramics magazine, which I have recently, and I was just thinking, I really need to do that, just sit down and fast write for 15 minutes or so of what's going to be in this thing, because while I pitched it, I'm still very sort of wishy-washy of what exactly is this thing and what's it going to look like. And that's a really sort of easy and concrete way of just going, okay, let's get started on this thing and just free write. And then you can sort of pull that apart and take it from there. And you can free write again, if you can do just like a little sort of chunk and then go back and free write that chunk out. And you have a series of chunks that becomes your article and you're done. So, yeah, that's really helpful.
Yeah. So it's like you both have said, it's an easy way to get into writing some pieces of writing that can be a bit intimidating. You know, if you have to write a particular email to a client or something that has important information or a change or something, that can be a bit daunting. Or if you have to write an article for a publication, like how do you enter into that writing? And the free writing, flow writing is such an easy way to do it. And I find for myself, it just frees up all that energy that I used to have around writing, getting in my head about it too quickly. And it's actually can be enjoyable, you know, writing can be enjoyable. So I think I could talk for a lot longer with you two, but I'll wrap it up here. But thank you so much for, you know, sharing your perspective on the program itself, and also talking about your writing relationship and how that's impacted your art and impacts you on a day-to-day level. I mean, what a great way to start every weekday. That would just set the tone for the whole day. So was there anything else you'd like to say before we tail up, or are you meeting next again tomorrow morning?
Of course.
Yeah. Awesome. And what have you got? Who's doing the prompts this week?
Whose turn is it, Emma? Is it yours?
It's my prompts tomorrow, and I've already got the prompt, which is, what can I stop or start doing to make things a bit easier for myself?
Good one. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, and Emma, you were also saying before, you've kept a record and probably both of you, of all the prompts for the 200 or so days, however many hours, and just as a reference point, super useful.
Yeah, we have actually used some sessions where we will just use it as a review. So it's go back and look at past prompts, or go back and look at past writings. Which we haven't done for a while, but I really love doing, because there is such growth when you read what you were thinking back then. There are times where you think, oh, I remember at one point, Kylie, we did, you know, what is something that scares the pants off you at the moment? And we reread them back about 6 weeks later, and the things that scared me 6 weeks ago, I ticked off and they were done. And the talk about the way to start your day is I have achieved, you know, I can do anything now. So there really is that accomplishment that goes with it, I think. It's a bit like the heaviest weight at the gym is the door. Sometimes that us just showing up, that's the hardest work we have to do in the day, maybe. I don't know.
And having a partner like the two of you, or having, you know, in the program, having the group, there's something about that, and knowing that even though you might be like states apart, like you guys have been, you're at that same moment in time, and you're doing the same thing, and you're connected, but you're apart. And so thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I hope you can both come into Fresh Eyes, which is going to be starting soon, and I'll share the details with you very soon. And
I just have to say one more thing. The brilliance of what Kylie and I have, love it. What was exceptional with Fresh Eyes was the number of perspectives at the feedback sessions at the end of the writing. That it opened up everybody who was listening, who heard another person's perspective, would have, I'm sure, felt the same as me, was I'd never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
And once you hear 5 people say something, then you think, I never thought of it that way. You then, it's a bit like Kylie, your 100 solutions. You then, whatever you're facing in the studio, in the practice, on the website, whatever, your brain, I think, ticks into another way of doing something. It's fresh. It's different perspective. And that was what was so good about the program. I thought that it was such a community of creatives.
Yeah. That's certainly the thing that I want to emphasize as well, with Amy's community that she's created with friends.
Well, you've frozen a tad there, but you'll probably be back on quite soon.
Back on.
Yes. Before, and as Kylie comes back on, I'll riff off what you said there, Emma. Yeah, it is the community. It's the artists that really make it. And from all levels, if you want to call it levels, but there's newbies, mid-career, established, different art forms as well. I mean, we're all in ceramics, but this, I agree, it is definitely what makes the program, is the different perspectives and the way people share with each other. And so I think that's, I'm really glad that you brought that to the attention. I think Kylie's back now. Let me see. Yeah. Continue with what you were saying. No worries, Kylie. Yeah, if you unmute there. And you're talking about the group aspect.
Yeah, I did. I don't know where it cut out though.
Oh, I think just right at the start. Yeah, I think you're talking about the community that's created.
Okay. All right. Let me just. All right. So the thing that I wanted to emphasize about what I got out of Fresh Eyes was it was very much the community of, like Emma, I felt that I was sort of with other people who got what I was doing. But for me, it was like just a really safe space that you could share and learn from. And it's more of a case of, if you're sort of seeing this and wondering, is this the sort of thing for me? All I can do is encourage you to just try it out and see what you can get from it, because you've got nothing to lose.
Yeah. Thank you thanks for that, Kylie. Yeah, and you guys are an integral part of that community, and the way that you contributed to that group last year was really wonderful. So I thank you so much for that. And I hope that you 5 years time, we can have another conversation and you're still connecting. That would be awesome. No pressure. It just gets to see where it goes. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emma. Thank you so much, Kylie. And I'm going to pop both of these artist details in the show notes so you can check them out and see how awesome they are. And I'll be announcing the Fresh Eyes program soon. I'll put details below for that as well. So thank you so much. And
looking forward to that. Amy, thank you so much.
Good, Amy.
Nice to see you, Kylie, and see you tomorrow.
Indeed.
We'll see you in the start of September, Amy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
5th of September. Yeah. Now stay here. I'm going to stop the record, but just stay online. Thanks everyone for watching. See you soon.
Bye.